right. Welcome to String Theory with Anthony Douglas. I am your host, Anthony Douglas, and at any rate, the gig went real well yesterday, so Barlean's, that's always a rockin' gig, and we always have a lot of fun with that thing. At any rate, here we have, again, the 1953 Fender 4-neck String Master, and we've taken the strings off of it, and we've managed to do some cleaning on it, and just getting it ready, prepping it up for some strings. And I kind of have an idea of the gauge of strings that I want to put on this thing. And so I have a pack of C6 that we're going to be indulging in today. So GHS makes these really good steel guitar strings. I do like their boomers. I don't know what the difference really is. And I used boomers for a long time, and then I couldn't find them anymore. So if anyone knows how to get them, leave a brand new ones, leave a comment. So we're gonna see what we can do with these lovely young children here. All right. Okay. It's going through the strings to make sure that the gauges are all in order. And things like this. So here is our first string. I'm still getting used to the plastic ones. They used to give us the strings in, they were paper, but to prevent condensation and things of this nature, they're giving us in plastic, which is a lot better. So we have to put it through these this like this, and then string it into the hole. I can't help but think when I'm doing this, starting to think about, the life and times of Hank Williams. I like to romanticize about that, about his band, and, how things were, and I get warm, fuzzy feelings on that one, but how was it actually touring with him in reality? That's something that's, most of us have never gone on tour with Hank Williams. I don't know if there's anyone alive that has. There might be out there, you never know. And for you aficionados that know a lot of stuff and a lot of things, guys like me, we're pickers. This is what we do. We're not the aficionados. So we do what you guys do, really. We romanticize this stuff and think about it and wonder what things were like. And I can kind of tell you from my end, what it would be like touring with someone that had certain issues, be it alcohol, drugs, or whatever issue, or pain, just being, in agony. And Hank Williams was in a lot of agony. From what I understand, he had back issues. And so you kind of wonder about the, and they were going all carb at that time, so I've been told. They were traveling instead of using RVs or buses or stuff. He was doing a lot of stuff by car. And if you think about it, traveling down a road that's not a super highway, that doesn't maybe particularly have a lot of stores and gas stations and things of this nature, you can kind of get the feeling of truly being out in the middle of nowhere with your band. And in 1948 or 47 or 50, God help you if you broke down. So thinking about Hank Williams and maybe not romanticizing it as a superstar as he was, but looking at that thing through reality, traveling the way the band did, and being on the road with someone that doesn't feel good. Has that happened to me? Yes, I know what that's like. I know what going on the road with somebody that doesn't feel good and what that's like. And it's very, very difficult for them. And you're trying to make do. And sometimes, your singer or up front person, if they're an instrumentalist or if they're a singer, the person that you are backing up cannot come out on stage because they don't feel good and they feel pretty much like death. And the job of the instrumentalist then kicks in, what you're all about, how you're going to cover for your singer or your upfront person. You have time, you have money, you have a lot of things invested in this. You've decided to go out on the road with this person, with this situation. And now the venue that you have played, whether it's a bar, whether it's a coliseum or whatever it is, these people now are upset because they're not getting the product. They're not getting what was promised. And I get it from their point of view. I understand that, when people come out there like that, they want to see a show. They want to see a concert, and we're human, singers, musicians, pickers like me, we're human. We're human beings. We get sick, at times and don't feel good and this sort of thing, which, like I said, is no excuse. If you got the flu out there or whatever, you still got to try to make your show. You got to try to make things work. But there are those times when it's just so bad for your singer that they just cannot make it out there. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do. Maybe talk to the managers of the venue, kind of get from them what they're going to require from you, and they may be very upset. You know, they might just sit there and say, well, you blow this gig and we're not going to book it back. I've been there. I've been in situations like this. And that's a scary place to be, because you have a family. You have a wife back home. You have people that are depending on you to send them money to... I think you all get it. I mean, I don't think I have to go on and on about that one. I mean, we all have these responsibilities. We're, you know, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons. I mean, we're people with responsibilities. And now you are starting to see that if your upfront person is not healthy and not going to be able to get up there and make the show, that you've got some decisions to try to make to try to remedy things on the spot. And yes, I have gotten myself together and gone out on stage and done the performance for my singers. I have done this. And yeah, it has worked out, and we've left the venue happy. And no disrespect to my singers, no disrespect to anybody. I'm trying to save the gig at this point. For them, for me, for all of us. And in hopes that they will get well. And I have had it to where they're, yay, you did a great job. We didn't think that could happen like that. We didn't think that things were going to go down, but you guys pulled it off. You did a great job, and we want you guys back here. You know, and they'll give the singer maybe even another chance, you know, and this type of thing. And so it's all working out for the good. And that's really what I like to see. I like to see some progress and actually being able to get out of a bad situation. So that's important. That is very, 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 very important, to be able to get yourself out of a bind, out of a bad situation. And if you can do that, you know, you'll save your gig, you know, but then there's the next gig down the road, you know, and if your singer isn't doing well, and let's just say your manager is not around and you're having problems, then you have decisions that you have to make. You have to try to take over and not take over. Does that make any sense? So you know you're working for this person. You know that you need to step up to the plate to save this thing. But then again, at the same time, it's their gig. You know, I've actually had singers walk up that have had alcohol problems that have wanted me to do the gig. They want to just sit and drink while I do the entire gig. And that's that can be challenging, you know, especially when everybody is there to see that person, you know. And now, what are you going to do? Show them up? And if you do, that's bad. I mean, if you just, well, okay, they want you now, and now you don't have a group, you don't have anything, you know. They're the ones with everything. They've got the gig locked down. So you've got to just try to save the situation that you're in. You know, not maybe try to play it up so far that they don't want your singer anymore. And it can go the other way too. You get out there and they want that singer, and now they're upset with you that you tried to remedy it. You know, that you tried to make it work, you know. So it can go either way on that thing. I had one singer in particular. I did ask him one time, I said, you know, it would be safe if you guys would learn some of my material and, you know, really be able to play some of the things that I do, just to be safe. And this guy would not hear of it. He thought that was a very bad idea, and, you know, almost like, oh gee, you're overstepping your bounds. Well, he got sick on the gig real bad, and he walks up to me just whiter than a sheet and looks at me and says, I'm gonna need you to do the gig. You know, and some people's children, I mean, really. And so I had to pull 3-chord songs that the band could jam to, different songs that I thought, whether it was an older country song, whether it was a blues song, we need some songs that we can jam to, all of us, and we need some songs now. You know, we need to pull this thing together. So I did it. If there were songs that he did that I knew, we did those too. You know, so I just grabbed a guitar and started doing his job for him. And at the end of the show, this was actually a casino gig. At the end of the show, management comes, security comes, different people come out, and they sit there and they go, what happened to your singer? What happened? Why do we have to pay your singer? And now we don't want to book you anymore because we wanted your singer. And I had done a respectfully good job, so I knew I did a good job. I knew I did good. And I decided that I would cover for this person. I said, you know, he's back there. He was just keeping up relations between the band and the audience. He says, what do you mean? I said, he was making out with a girl back there. I did not want to tell them that they were sick. They says, in that case, you're completely over. You're done. We do not want you at this place anymore. We take things seriously like that. And then I told them, I said, okay, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, this guy's back here and he just got sick. I mean, I told the truth, but I didn't tell the truth. There was a drug problem going on. And they were very, very sick and threw up all over the dressing room, all over everything. I mean, we had stuff, you know, of course, there were other complications, you know, and when you get somebody that's in denial, that doesn't want to admit that there's any kind of a chemical problem going on at all, they can really become upset if you approach them about it, you know. And going back to Hank Williams Sr., you know, I mean, you do begin to wonder. You do begin to wonder what the band had to deal with. Whether the fiddle player had to take over, whether one or the other of them had to, you know, or whether steel player and fiddle player, Don Helms and Jerry Rivers, whether they did performances on their instruments, whether one or the other of them sang. What do you do in a situation like that, especially when you got a singer, a songwriter like Hank Williams? I mean, how do you handle something like that? Do you put his suit with notes on and go out there and pretend to be him? I mean, what do you do? And yeah, these are not easy questions to answer, really. I mean, and every situation is different. Even if you have a singer out there that's having issues, you know, they're truly having problems out there. And you know, they're I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here with this thing. They're out there, and each situation is different. Everything is different, so it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking to go, okay, well, we got through that gig, we made it that time. Now what's he gonna do? Now what plan of attack do we need? Is he gonna make it? Is he going to be, you know, drunk because his back is hurting him so bad? Is he going to take and indulge in pills because he is trying hard to make these gigs? And you know, you got to look at it a certain way. These people are not trying to do bad gigs. They're not just blowing it because they go, oh, look, we can blow it, and this is fun now, and we can just, no, there's a serious situation happening in these things, whether it's a chemical problem, whether it's a self-destructive problem, a personality problem. Just, I mean, there's just a million different problems because everybody's human. We all have problems, you know, and it's okay to have problems. It is, because we all have them, but admit you've got problems, you know, try to do something about the problems. But in a case like Hank Williams, what's he going to do? Cancel the band? The band depends on the money. You know, what's he going to do? When he's had all these surgeries, or a surgery, I don't know how many surgeries he had, but we'll just say he had some surgeries. And what are you going to do when you know that things are not going to work out? You know, you might just sit there and go, well, you know what? I don't want to go to Mary Bridge because for dependency problems, because I got this bad back. So I'm just going to, you know, do my gigs, and, you know, when we die is when we'll sleep, and have an attitude like that where you're just really running on borrowed time with everything. And because people have responsibilities and they're human too, they understand there's a problem. They understand that, you know, one should slow down. We get that. But because of these types of issues, they just, I'd like to say they close their eyes to it, you know, but it's almost more than that. They know what they're doing, you know. I mean, if you have a singer and you're trying to make these dates, it's really easy to become selfish and say, look, we just need the money. We need to do this. We have families. We have this. We have that. And not say, hey, this guy has got to get off the road. They're sick. They don't feel good. And they have no business on the road. And doing an intervention thing and trying out. A lot of times, when you try to do an intervention like that, you're going to have people come back on you, the singer or whatever, and they'll say, I have no problem. There is no problem. And they won't, and then there's really not much you can do if they're not willing to do it on their own. But for gosh sakes, people, if you're in a situation like that, talk to them. Try to save a life. You know, don't let your band, I mean, these things can be put on hold. They really can. I know it doesn't seem like they can be, but things can work out and things can get better. And don't be selfish. You know, don't get out there and just go, okay, well, you know, I got my family, I got me, and that's what it's all about. It's everybody's saying me, and nobody's saying let's do the right thing, including the singer. You know, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about if one has a chemical problem and they're wanting to change. They're wanting to get help. For goodness sakes, they're trying. Let them try. Because I have had more than one singer in my life that I've dealt with, that I've been a part of their group, and they've had horrible chemical issues, alcohol issues, just crazy. You know, one guy that I was doing music with, it was so bad that he had internal bleeding. He was, you know, drinking rubbing alcohol because he couldn't get regular alcohol all night long. He would say, hey, kiddo, I'm flying. I just really need some rubbing alcohol. And, I mean, that's just insane. That's really asking for it, you know? And you shouldn't be doing stuff like that, you know, and I needed the money. And he would tell me things like, just come to my hotel and, you know, set up your instruments and play for me while I drink. I'll start drinking, I'll faint, and then you just take the money that I'm giving you here and you just leave. He says, because I just want a performance while I drink. And I'm trying to absorb what he's saying. I'm trying to figure this thing out. And how do you figure something like that out? You know, I mean, it got bad. I mean, I'd be going to the laundromat with this guy, and his clothes, I mean, he'd go to the bathroom in his pants and clothes, and you're seeing brown in the laundry, in the window of the wash machine, and the smell in the laundromat is terrible. And at his house, I mean, you've got feces and blood and just the worst that you could possibly ever imagine. And on an up note, I don't know how he kept from killing himself. He had such a drinking problem, but he actually wound up in a nursing home as he got older, and he lived through it. I mean, how do you live through something like that? But he did. And so going back to Hank Williams Sr., you know, driving someone around on the brink of death, or riding around with them, or, you know, maybe they had their own cars, or they had their couple of different cars. I'm not sure how these guys traveled. And for you aficionados that know all this stuff, you can put all that together. But I'm kind of giving you guys a look at the reality of it because I've lived through some of this. And it just can get, man, when you're on the road with an act that has health trouble, that is really difficult to have to deal with. So I hope this has shed some light on it. And I like to also romanticize about Hank Williams and romanticize about him with his last ride, and maybe there was some sort of weird conspiracy that happened, or maybe there was this, or maybe there was that, and it's interesting to romanticize someone you don't know, but you look at his band, just like Elvis. You look at the band, you look at the people that were around him, and they go, no, I'm sorry to have to tell you people, but they really did die at their own hands. So, like I said, I hope this is put maybe some light on the reality of it, even though maybe we don't want to think about the reality so much, but God bless you people that are out there that are having a singer, an upfront person that you're really trying to deal with, and I don't think you people really think that we become caregivers. I don't think that crosses too many minds, but a musician can become a caregiver. If you're having to haul a lot of gear, you've become now like a moving company. There's a lot of things other than just performing that we have to deal with. So until the next video, you guys be good. We'll see you in the next video. If you like this, hit like and subscribe. All right. Take care. And oh, by the way, we got the C6 tuning going here. So now I'm going to have to tune this up and deal with this before we can go to this and see what tuning we're going to put here on our next neck. Okay, thank you. You have a good rest of your day.